at REST controller and at get mapping, these are annotations which are part of the Spring Web MVC. The Spring Web MVC model view controller, it's a framework that provides a very easy way of implementing MVC architectures in our web applications. Spring MVC basically abstracts away a lot of messy details you would have to understand and manage yourself if you were to write servlets manually. So you know what a servlet is. It's a process which handles HTTP requests. So a client sends a request and then it also gets a response. So Spring Web MVC basically abstracts all of that away and allows us to create RESTful services very easy. And within Spring Web MVC, there's a bunch of annotations that we should be aware of. So we've got controller, at REST controller. So here, this one is a very convenient for at controller and at response body. So basically, this controller right here marks the class as a web controller. It marks the class as a web controller. And with this, Spring can auto detect the implementation classes bean by scanning the class path. And at REST controller is the controller with the at response body. And together this indicates that the class is a controller and all the methods in the marked class will return a JSON response. So the response body right here is a utility annotation that tells Spring to automatically serialize return values of this class methods into HTTP responses. Then moving down, so we have request body, we've got at request mapping in here, and basically this specifies a method in the controller that should be responsible for serving HTTP requests to the given path. So at get mapping is basically an abbreviation of at request mapping, and this is basically instead of you having to say this in here, so request mapping and then specify the method and the path, you could just say at get mapping and then pass the path in it. At get mapping is mainly for HTTP GET requests, and GET mappings are for read in the CRUD operations. Then you have post mapping, which is the create. You've got put mapping, update, delete mapping for delete, and then you've got request params, path variables, and whatnot. And you'll learn about these in a second. So I just wanted to give you an introduction of these annotations. So within IntelliJ right here, so as we mark this with at REST controller, now we are able to have methods within it that we can expose as REST endpoints to create APIs. So here we are basically saying hello, but if I was to have a class in here, so let me just say record, and then I'm going to say greet response, for example. And in here, I'm going to have the actual response. So string and then greet, just like that. And what I'm going to do is instead of returning hello, which you saw gives us just a string in the console. So let me actually show you. So if I run main and then go back to Chrome, if I reload in here, you can see that we have hello. Have a look, hello. But if I change the return type, so instead of a string, I'm going to say greet response. Right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically say new greet response and then say hello, for example. So I'm just going to say the same thing inside. Cool. If I reload, go back to Chrome and then reload this page, have a look. So now we actually have a JSON object. And this is what I was saying. So within the annotations, the REST controller right here indicates that the class is a controller and all the methods in the marked class will return a JSON response. So this is exactly what just happened. And obviously, if you want to change from JSON to XML, you can also do it. But at the moment, we are just working with JSON objects. And this is pretty much it. So back to IntelliJ, and I think by now you should have a good understanding of the main class, these annotations that we've used so far. If you have any questions, please do let me know. Catch me on the next one.